Welcome to our podcast today for Prospecting Today. We have a wonderful guest with us, Ricky Carruth. And just a little introduction about Ricky. He was born and raised along the Alabama-Florida Gulf Coast. He has built an incredible real estate business based on the core values of creating strong relationships. He is not only a real estate coach, but also continues to actively sell real estate himself. In real estate since 2002, Ricky has seen the highest highs and the lowest lows of the market. Surviving the ups and downs, he learned the harsh lessons of the business. And since then, he has risen to being the top producer in his market, selling over 100 properties per year as a single agent. Now, Ricky became the number one RE/MAX agent in Alabama in 2014 and 2017. Reaching such a high level in the industry and realizing the failure rate among agents is so high, Ricky started Zero to Diamond, a coaching company created to help agents by sharing his highly unique, low-pressure approach with agents across the country. Ricky wrote 2 books, created an online course, developed a video library, and works with agents one-on-one as well. He says the secret ingredient to a successful career is building strong relationships by following his 4 key principles. Welcome and thank you for joining our program, Ricky. And I just kind of want to start with that. What are your 4 key principles?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Super stoked. Well, I think that you have to believe in what you're doing and believe in yourself, right? And then once you get past that, you got to work hard. And then once you get that figured out, you got to adapt as you go along. And then the 4th one is you got to be patient. And so a lot of people believe, tons of people believe that they can do what they want to do and nobody takes action. But very few people that believe actually work hard. And then out of the people that believe and work hard, even fewer also adapt. And then when you funnel it all the way down, out of the people that believe, work hard, and adapt, which is very few, even fewer also are patient. But really, without those 4 key principles, you're not going to succeed long term. You might succeed short term, but you're not going to succeed long term. And so if somebody's not successful or as successful as they want to be, I can sit down and have a 5 to 10 minute conversation with them, and I can figure out which one of those 4 key principles that they're lacking in, because they're lacking in one of those four things. It's like a puzzle.
Yeah. So let's start with that first one, believe. How do you teach someone to believe?
You don't really teach any of this, to be honest with you.
Okay.
It's something that they have to see. There's 2 kinds of education. There's the kind that you get from reading books and research and watching videos and going to seminars and all that stuff and watching other people and doing all that stuff and learning everything from afar. And then there's the kind that you learn from direct experience. And the problem is most people think that the more they learn, the better they're going to be. And so you got these people that go to seminars their whole life and they're always doing all these things and they never do anything with it. Right? And so they forgot the other side of it. You got to have both. Like you have to learn from other people. You got to learn you got to read the books and go to the seminars. You got to do all that, but you got to draw a line somewhere where you execute and you go through the experiences of failure and rejection and you face your fears and you do all the things necessary to bust through those stages to get out of your comfort zone and get the real taste in your mouth of losing, before you can really win. And so I think people have to go through that themselves and make that determination, of what they really want. Like how bad do you really want it? What do you want? And do you want it bad enough? And from that comes the belief.
Yeah. So what about working hard? How do you motivate people? Like either they're hard workers or they're not. Is there a way you can motivate them to work harder?
They have to be doing what they love to do. Because hard work is hard, regardless if you love what you're doing or you don't love it. So if you don't love it, it's really going to suck.
Yeah.
So you've got to love what you do. You got to have a passion for what you're doing. You got to have long-term vision that what you're doing on a daily basis is inching you closer and closer and closer to your overall goal. And that's what motivates you. You know, and some people are built like that and some aren't. Like, I can't breathe unless I'm going crazy trying to accomplish something. You know, and some people aren't like that. They have other priorities. So, you know, it's really hard to teach any of these principles. You know, it's more like you tell people what they are, and then they realize those principles in themselves, or they don't, you know, and they either act on it or they don't. You know, it's kind of hard to change somebody, you know what I mean? Or teach somebody how to be a hard worker. I mean, I grew up roofing houses.
Yeah.
And my dad was a roofer. He you know, owned a roofing company. And I was laying shingles when I was a teenager. And I worked on a hot roof for most of my teenage years. And, you know, and so when I transitioned into real estate, it was an easy transition for me because I was used to, you know, really like real hard work, you know. So it's all perspective and what you know, do you really receive the information?
So, Ricky, for somebody who wants to be very successful in real estate, will you give them a good idea of what hard work looks like for success?
15 hours a day for 15 years.
Okay.
I mean, literally. I mean, it's you work, you stay busy, and the whole key is talking to people. Whoever's talking to the most people wins. You know, if you talk and you develop your skill of connecting really deeply with your prospects, and then you have a system to stay relevant with them. You know, once you make the connection, that's great. A lot of people make connection, but then what's next? They lose them because they don't have a system in place to stay in touch with them forever. So once you make that valuable connection, now you have to take advantage of it by having something in place to stay in touch with them forever. So now the connection was made, and now you can take advantage of the connection in the future because you have something in place to stay in touch with them, you know? So I think just putting in the hours is the first part. And you know, like in the beginning, you don't know what to do because there's so much in real estate to learn. There's so many different directions you can go in. There's so much, and it's overwhelming. And so as a new agent, you just have to get in there and just go crazy and just try a bunch of different stuff, you know, until you hit something that you feel is moving you in the right direction, and then go all in with that one thing. Whatever you hit that you felt like you hit something, go all in with it and just get laser focused on that, whatever that one thing is. And now you're putting those 15 hours a day into that one thing. You start out putting 15 hours a day into a lot of stuff because you don't know what's going to work. Because what works for me might not work for the next agent. Everybody's path to success in any business is different. Nobody does it exactly the same way. You might get bits and pieces of different people who succeeded, but your business is not going to look exactly the same as theirs. You know, it's like if I started real estate the same exact day as another agent, which would never happen, and then I said all the same stuff to the same people exactly the same time with the same tone and everything, never happened. Sent the same exact postcards and emails and Facebook and letters, never happened. And people are going to perceive you differently. There's so many personalities in the world, so nobody has the same path. Mm-hmm. You know, so you have to get in there, try everything, you know, understand that. See, a lot of people get in real estate because they think it's easy money whenever they're you know, going towards getting their license. And I feel sorry for those people because they have it backwards. It's actually a lot tougher than whatever they're doing right now. You know, most people grow up getting paid by the hour. In real estate, you get paid based on production and how much you actually produce and what you do. A lot of people are used to just showing up. They put their hours in. It didn't matter if they produced or not. They get paid for just being there. Right. And when they transition into real estate, it's a tough transition because they're not used to this, high volume of production that they need to do in order to be successful. And before you know it, their bills have piled up on them and they don't know what to do. And now they have to quit, and it's a tough gig.
Yeah. So if it's somebody who is breaking in brand new and they wanted to work their sphere of influence and that was their step number one, what's something they could say to somebody in their sphere of influence that would be potentially successful for them?
Well, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. If I were going to call my sphere and I was brand new, I would just call them and say, hey, it's Ricky. How are you doing? Just want to let you know I'm in real estate. Is there anything I can do for you right now? And then they're going to say yes or no. Regardless if they say yes or no, I'm going to ask, okay, cool. Is there an agent that if you said yes, I'm going to say, is there an agent that you're going to work with on that? If they say no, I'm going to say, is there an agent that you would work with if you were to do something? And try to figure out if there's already a relationship in place, or is the door open for me to be that agent for them now or in the future? See what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's kind of the approach I would take. And then from there, I would get their email address and I would have them plug into whatever my follow-up system is. But I'll be honest with you, when I started, I didn't do sphere of influence because of a couple of reasons. A, I knew that all the people that knew me were not going to use me because they knew I was brand new.
Right.
I wanted to create a business where they came to me later because they realized, they knew I was in the business, but they realized Ricky's the man and I'm going to go use him. I wanted them to come to me. Another reason is I felt like if I couldn't sell people that I don't know, I wasn't going to make it anyway. So I wanted to go ahead and get to that part. I wanted to find out where I stood in the real game of real estate. So I skipped the sphere of influence and went straight to people I don't know. And the third reason is I didn't want to feel spammy. I didn't want my sphere of influence to think that, okay, Ricky got his license. Now all of a sudden, every time I see him or every time I didn't want them avoiding me because they thought that all I was going to do was try to sell them a property, so just the way I did it, and I probably could have sold more property in the beginning if I would have done sphere of influence. Would I do differently if I had it all to go over again? Maybe. I don't know, but just the way it went down.
Yeah. Well, let's switch to your third principle, which is adapt. Explain how that.
Adapting is realizing when something either works or doesn't work, and then adapting based on that information. A lot of people do the same thing over and over and over again, hoping there's a different result. And there's a fine line there because some things you have to do over and over again, and you have to be consistent with it, even when it doesn't work. Like when you make phone calls, you're not going to chances are very high that you're not going to do a deal the day you make those phone calls. So you make those phone calls and you think, well, that didn't work. Okay. So what now? Do I continue doing them or do I not? So there's some things that you have to be consistent with even when they're not working immediately. So I get that, but there's this whole nother parameter of just an extra sense, if you will, of knowing and having this feeling about things that are working and not working. Just because it doesn't work in a day doesn't mean it's not working, right? It could mean it's not working, but I'm talking about more long term. Like if you do something for 6 months and it doesn't work, and just being able to spot things while you're trying stuff out of things that work and don't work. Also, communication, learning how to really talk to people and really find out how you can help them and really find out how to connect and make them feel comfortable with you. That's big. Body language and tone of voice and speed. All these things put together is adapting, and just continue to get better and better every day. I'm always trying new stuff. I'm always trying new words in my scripts. I'm trying new things in my emails and new, I wrote some books that when I wrote the book, that was just something to test. That was just something to do to see if it worked, social media stuff. I'm always trying all kinds of different things, YouTube videos and just all kinds of stuff. And it's all just to try to figure out what's working and what's not working and what can I do better, and how can I adapt and progress. So it's just all about finding out what works and what doesn't work, and then using that information to your benefit.
Yeah. So you mentioned emails, calls, YouTube, social media. What have you found that really works in all of your experience?
The biggest things for me is calling property owners and connecting with them, getting their email address, regardless if they want to buy or sell today or not, and developing a database of those people and sending a weekly email every single Wednesday. My emails went out every single Wednesday since '07, every single one. And it's really the foundation, because that keeps me relevant with all the people that I've met in the past, all the people that thought about buying or did buy, or sellers and leads and everybody. They know who I am because they get this email. I don't have to worry about following up as much, because they know I'm here if I need them. And when I'm in the deal with them, I go really deep, so they know that I'm really going to take care of them. That way they know next time I call them, I'm right on it. They know they can depend on me to get right on whatever situation they got going on, including helping their friends or family. So cold calling property owners. And the good thing about that, it's unlimited. You can't call every property owner in your market ever in your whole life. Even if you called them 24 hours a day for the rest of your life, you'd never call them all. Right. So, and what's so funny is if you did call them all, say it took you 20 years or something like that to call them all, and you did, and you came to me and you said, Ricky, I called them all, you're wrong, I would say, okay, cool, we'll turn right around and call them all again, because now 30, 40, 50% of those properties have changed hands, and all those people are 20 years older now. They're probably going to want to do something. It's just so never ending, when you get into that property owner game. And then you start to realize how unlimited the business is. There's just no way that you can handle all. And so when you really get into that mindset of understanding that it's unlimited, now nothing can stop you. You're not worried about losing a deal. You're not worried about what's going to happen with the market. You're not worried about anything, because you have the mentality. Now you understand when the market crashes, closings are still happening every single day. Closings are happening every day now, and they'll happen every day from here on out, regardless of what the market does. So you have job security for the rest of your life. And that's what's so crazy, that the failure rate is so high in real estate, but the opportunity is so limitless. It's crazy.
Right. That's all very interesting. When you mentioned that you sent a weekly email, can you give me an example of what you wrote in a weekly email?
In my pre-course, there's a lesson. Ricky's weekly email, there's an example, and there's a video tutorial, me doing a screen share and building one. But there's a nice picture of the area. There's new listings, closed sales. I have a beach, I'm on the beach, so I have like a beach webcam. Then I might have featured properties or an article on the area, or I might have something about comparing this year's prices or inventory or transactions to last year. It just kind of depends on what I want, but it's a very easy to read format. Not a bunch of text, nothing crazy. It's very simple. It's like, boom, here's your message this week. Here's a nice visual of the beach. Let me know if there's something I can do for you. So it's real simple, easy to read, very low pressure, and it's been big because I've got around 13,000 people on it. I've got 3,000 that open it up every week. And that's all property owners or people that thought about buying down here or whatever. I mean, that's a pretty good base of people for a real estate business.
So you mentioned you have this all online and it's free. Where can people go to get that information from you?
It's at zerotodiamond.com.
And you have all those examples on Zero to Diamond.
Everything, yeah. I mean, you go there, you sign up, it's free. There's a complete course that goes through everything. It's got videos of me making live calls. It has step-by-step everything I do, everything. It's right there, totally free. And then we do live training sessions every other week. That's on YouTube Live. And like I might make live calls or, last week we did lead conversion. I went through my entire lead conversion process. Next week I'm going to do how to dominate your, winter market. And I know this podcast will probably air long after all these, live trainings and stuff, but all this stuff will be on YouTube forever. You can always go there and just go to the live, the live real estate coaching, playlist and look up whatever one. I did a full training on the weekly email. I did a full training on my listing presentation. Anything that I can think of, the thing about being free is I don't have to hold back anything. I can give the audience everything that I know, without worrying about holding something back to give them a reason to pay me. And that's a big reason why I'm free because I don't want to have to hold back any information. I want to just give everything away, in hopes that I can actually reduce the failure rate, and I'll get paid on books and speeches. So that's kind of my strategy.
Got it. So that's just a really great resource for those of you who are listening to just go to zerotodiamond.com and get those free trainings that you put out there. What's that like, Ricky, to spend your time as a real estate agent and also time coaching? Is that a tough balance to strike?
It is. It's really tough. Cause, I do $1 million a year in real estate, and then here I am spending half my time on something that I don't make any money on. So yeah, it's been really tough mentally. It's been really, tough to think about, okay, I definitely have to be losing business in real estate because I'm spending time, doing coaching stuff. So yeah, and there was definitely a period where I was overwhelmed because earlier this year when interest rates came up and the market started flattening down, it was kind of the perfect storm because I was spending a lot of time coaching, and the real estate business kind of went down kind of at the same time. And I was at a point of kind of got scared, like I wonder, like, how am I putting too much on my plate? Is it too much pressure? What should I do? Should I quit coaching? What should I do? And I just fought through it, and I started focusing more on real estate. I got back, now I'm back where I was this time last year. Friday, I closed 78 and 80, closings on the year. I've got 20 something under contract. I have 60 listings. But I'm still spending a lot of time coaching. I love the coaching. That's kind of my like long-term passion. And I know, let's face it, I know I'll make more money coaching long-term than I will selling real estate, cause coaching is a global business. My real estate market is local. So there's just a lot of opportunity I see in the future. So I'm okay with investing that time now because I'm such a forward thinker. But yeah, to answer your question, super tough. And I don't recommend.
Right. Sounds like a lot longer than your 15-hour day that you're telling everyone else to gear up for.
I work about 15 hours. It just depends. See, the reason I started the coaching is because I felt like I kind of reached the top of real estate. And so what happens is when you're trying to achieve something, you spend all your off time researching and trying to figure out how to achieve, how to reach the top. Okay. So I was spending like all my brain power and energy was going into real estate because I wanted to be the best. Well, once I got to the top, well, and like stayed there for several years, you know, I've been selling 100 properties a year since 2014. And so it wasn't until 2017 that I started writing and speaking and coaching. So I had 3 years of 100 deals a year before I started the coaching. And so what happened is after I hit 100 deals, and then and then it was the struggle of maintaining that. Okay. And then when I got over that, then I felt like I had extra time on my hands where I felt like I could maintain the momentum of the real estate business and doing 100 deals without spending 15 hours a day. I felt like I could maybe spend the regular 8 hours a day to maintain the 100 deals a year. But then what am I going to do with the other 7 hours? I'm going to go crazy if I don't figure out something to do. And so that's why I started coaching, because it opened up. When I finally hit the top of real estate, it opened up so much extra time I had on my hands that I was devoting to trying to figure real estate out. So now I'm trying to figure the coaching thing out. So I hit the top of the real estate game. Now I'm spending all that off time trying to figure out how to hit the top of the coaching game.
Got it. So you say what you bring to your coaching clients is you teach them a highly unique, low pressure approach. What is that? Mm-hmm.
It's basically relationships over transactions. It's the fact that most coaches will teach you to call up people, or when you're talking to buyers or whatever. And it's all about what the client can do for you, right? It's all about, what are you looking for? What do you want to buy? Have you thought about selling? Do you know anybody that wants to buy or sell? All those questions are designed to figure out what the client can do for the agent. And that's bad. I mean, that's just crap. Okay. The real deal is that my system, my coaching program is teaching agents how to find out what they can do for their clients, in terms of, instead of, do you want to buy? Do you want to sell? Who do you know? All that stuff. It's, hey, what in the world can I do for you? And then you base every little thing on that, on that answer. Whatever the answer is to what in the world can I do for you today, whatever their answer is to that, that's what the conversation and the entire relationship needs to be focused on, whatever that is. And so it's just different, because you're not asking them to buy or sell. You're asking them what you can do to help them. And then you just kind of take it from there. And that's why I built such a strong database of people who know me, like me, trust me, because I don't ever ask them if they want to buy or sell. I just want to help them.
Right. So let's move on to the patience part of your strategy. What do you mean by patience? And of course, we all understand patience. Like, you just have to put in the work and then you have to wait to see the results. But really, what does it mean in terms of your world?
It means that in 2014, I made $600K. In 2015, I wanted to make $1 million. So I put together this incredible plan to do that. I started executing in January, February, March rolled around, and I saw that I was only going to make $600K again. And I became deeply depressed. I was like really upset. Like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? So it's a dangerous place to be. You know, when you're, making $600K and you're depressed, that's not good.
No, it's not.
It's right. And so that's where patience has to come into play, or you'll find yourself in a very dangerous place where you're upset with yourself. You can't dangle the carrot in front of you and just keep trying to get it and keep moving it further and further and further and getting upset with yourself when you don't get it. Okay, there has to be a place where you're satisfied and super happy with where you are, but at the same exact time, very motivated and hungry and still, really energized to go to the next level. So you got to find that happy medium. You can't be upset with yourself. So the patience came from me going through that, this is when I learned patience. And patience is the one, see, I've always believed since day one. I've always worked hard. And I learned how to adapt, when I lost everything in the crash, went bankrupt, was living in my car, working on an oil rig. That's when I adapted. And I said, okay, what I did was wrong in the first half of my career. What did I do wrong, and how can I make it right? Well, it was because in the first half, I was just going after deals. I didn't care about the people. And so I had to realize that and then flip it. And so that's what I did. And so that was the adaption part. And then my breakthrough moment on patience was what I'm telling you. In 2015, I wanted to do a meal, and it wasn't going to happen. I became deeply depressed. And so I had to learn patience. And so I had to really sit down and take a hard look at everything going on and decide what is really going on here. And it took me a minute to really get a hold of myself and realize that I'm heading in the right direction. I'm doing everything right. I'm doing all I can do. I'm reaching my personal full potential. Okay. I'm putting the work in. Now I just have to just let it happen. And when I finally realized that, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders and I could breathe. Because I was good financially. It was mentally. I was just holding myself back. So it wasn't until 2017, last year, when I finally hit that goal. So 2015 didn't hit it, 16 didn't hit it. So 2 years. And then the third year I did. And this year I will. So, you just have to realize, and I hope that people listening can just learn from my experience there of, not getting depressed with yourself. When you're doing really well, but you're not doing as good as you want to do, that's a good thing that you feel like that, because it means that you want it and you're hungry and that's not a bad thing. But at the same time, you just got to be careful, because it can be a dangerous place if you let it take you over.
So what I hear you saying is that the switch that happened within you was you treated the relationship as a more important component than the actual transaction. But did it take more than that to reach your goal? Because that's a lofty goal, and you met it in a couple of years. So what more were you doing or was it just simply that you started treating the relationship as the most important piece of your philosophy?
Well, I started the relationships over transactions in 2008. That was the year I came back after the market crashed. The real estate market started crashing in 2005. I sold my last property in January 2005, and I didn't sell anything for 3 years. I went back and worked on an oil rig. I roofed houses again. I was living out of my car. It was wild. So when I came back in 2008, that's when I realized everything as far as relationships over transactions. So it took me another 6 years of implementing, 6 years of implementing before I hit 100 deals a year. So it wasn't overnight. I didn't do anything different. I just understood the concept of accumulation, like accumulating clients that care about you and you care about them. And what that does long term, because each prospect that you connect with, regardless if they want to do a deal or not today, if you connect with them the right way and you have a system in place to stay relevant, that person's worth 10 to 20 deals to you over the life of your career through repeat business, referrals, and referrals of referrals. So when you think about it like that, and you're making your phone calls, and you're connecting with, say, 2 people a day, those, you don't think that's a lot. Well, yeah, it is. That's 20 to 40 deals to you over the 20 to 40 year career that's ahead of you. So if you get, 10 a week, people that you really connected with, now we're looking at 200 to 400 deals that you just stacked up. And so even though those deals aren't happening right now, and it might take 20 years to realize all this, heck, 20 years happens, guy. I mean, time goes forward, not backwards.
Right.
And so I just understood the concept of accumulating all these people in my market that would potentially be buyers or sellers in my market at some point. I just understood it so well after I lost everything, and I just implemented it, and it took 6 years to get to 100 deals, but from year 1 of that 6 to year 6 of that 6, I was doing well. I mean, with the first year back, I think I did 80,000, and then the next year was like 120, and then I did 150 for a couple years, and then it jumped up to like maybe 400 or something, and then 600 for a couple years, and then 750. You know, when you're out in the market, here's the thing: closings are happening every single day. So if you, or as a real estate agent, are talking to people in the market, you can't help but to stumble across people that are some of these people that are buying and selling right now. And so the Zero to Diamond system, what it does is it helps agents build their business right now and for the future all at the same time. So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Another thing is, and I love the dual purpose, there's so much dual purpose in it. Property owners are the best buyers. People look at owners as just listings, but they're the best buyers. They're the best qualified. They know what they want. They know how to get it. They know they're easy to work with. So I don't get internet leads at all. Never have. Mm-hmm. So like I look at property owners as buyers or sellers. And so, you know, like every phone call could be a buyer or a seller. You know, they could be somebody that wants to buy or sell now or down the road. And so you're building your business all at the same time for now and later, so many different ways.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. So just as we get ready to start wrapping up, I'm curious, when you say you go out and you meet people and you make the connections, do you ever mention what you do for work, that you do real estate, or how do you get an email out of them so that they now go into your database when you're making that connection, but not necessarily focused on a transaction?
Yeah, like I don't talk to people like out and about. I'm kind of an introvert, if you will. Okay. Like I've never like talked to people at the grocery store about real estate or at the ball field, or, you know, like if they come to me and they say, oh, thinking about buying a house, and I'm all over it. But I'm not the one to walk up to everybody with my name tag on. I never had a name tag, but, you know, walk up and start a conversation and make it all happen. What I love to do is to pick out a subdivision full of the price range of houses that are selling really good in my market. You know, like your market the hot spot may be, I call it the sweet spot, may be, you know, 250 to 350. It's just really on fire. And so I go out and find a subdivision that's 250 to 350. You know, and then I'm going to call all those owners. I'm going to call all the owners and I'm going to say, hey, Mr. Johnson, this is Ricky Carruth down at Remax of Orange Beach. How are you doing today? And then I'm going to listen. He's going to say, I'm doing good. I'm going to say, okay, cool. Yeah, look, me too. I'm enjoying the day. Isn't it gorgeous outside? And then I'm going to listen. He's going to say, yes, I'm about the weather. We're going to talk about the weather for a while. I'm going to say, look, Mr. Johnson, I don't want to take up too much of your time today, but there was a house right around the corner from you that just sold, and I didn't know if there's anything in the world I could do for you today. And then I'm going to listen. And he's going to say yes or no or whatever. I don't know. What about that house and all that stuff? And I'm going to say, okay, cool. Look, is there an agent in the area that you would work with if you were to do something? He's going to say yes or no. If he says yes, I'm like, okay, cool. Who's the agent? I might know him, blah, blah. Look, you're in good hands. I'm Ricky Carruth. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. See you later. If they say no, bingo, opportunity. Cool, Mr. Johnson. Well, look, I'm sure at some time in the future, you're going to want to buy or sell something. I'd love the opportunity to work with you when that day comes. Would it be okay if I stayed in touch with you? Mm-hmm. Well, sure, Ricky, sure. Cool. Mr. Johnson, what is your email address? And bingo was his name-o.
That's simple.
Yeah, very simple. And it's a real conversation. It starts out with 2 questions that aren't even real estate related. Okay? It's real. It's a real conversation.
Right. And that really is kind of the key to your success.
Yes, the 2 questions in the beginning are designed to open them up. Because they're thinking, oh, God, real estate agent, they're going to try to sell me something. And then I start talking about the weather. And so then they start getting loosened up a little bit. You know, and then as they're responding to those questions, how they're doing and about the weather or whatever, I'm reading them. Like I can tell by the tone of their voice and how they're talking, like if they're happy, mad, glad, sad, busy, at lunch, what's going on with them. And then I can adjust my conversation accordingly to take advantage of the situation to see what I can do to help them. You know, the whole thing is to make them feel comfortable, you know, and just not pressure them and just see what you can do to help them. So, no, it's been very effective. There's over 5,000 agents in my program, and they're killing it. They're picking up, you know, some may pick up 2 or 3 email addresses a day, up to 20 or 30 email addresses a day. You know, and these people are going in their databases. They're getting a weekly email. You know, everybody's just following my system to a T. And people are seeing I get messages and DMs all day long of agents that are getting listings or saying thanks for this or that and you know, doing deals and, you know, $1 million deals. You know, I got a $1.2 million listing yesterday from a cold call I called 3 weeks ago. And then they got my email for 3 weeks and called me and wanted to list their property. Or, you know, somebody got my email and referred their brother to me and they just bought something for $400. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 2 years. And I'm telling you, I have thousands of emails and DMs of agents who are using this to crush it.
Oh, that's great. So if there was one piece of advice, one thing you would tell an agent to start doing differently today, what would that be?
Quit listening to everybody and start asking people what you can do to help them instead of if they want to buy or sell. And then once you understand that, now it's all about volume. Are you going to talk to the most people? And everything else doesn't matter. All the stuff that people are worried about under contract stuff and inspections and financing and pre-approvals and anything else other than what I just said doesn't matter. I just had an agent in my office ask me about a property, like a flood zone property. Like she said, Ricky, can you come help me? Cause I'm very helpful. And she said, will you look at this? And I looked and she was looking at a flood map and she was like, hey, this property, does this mean this is in this flood zone? And I said, I don't know. I have no idea. I've never even seen that before, that flood map. She said, you never seen this flood map? I said, no, ma'am. She said, so when you get a listing, you don't see what flood zone it's in? I said, nope. I have no idea. Because I'm telling you, all that stuff that everybody's worried about is what's holding them back. It's preventing them from doing what they really need to do, which is reaching out to people to see what you can do to help them. You know, whatever flood zone that property's in, the buyer and seller are going to figure all that out. And if they want you to figure it out, they'll let you know. And then you can figure it out and tell them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a little different. But if you want to be a high producer, you got to throw all that stuff away that you think matters and concentrate on what I'm telling you. And the big problem is people are scared to talk to people they don't know. And so they create this busy work of all the other stuff that doesn't matter. And they think that that's what's going to get them where they want to go. If they just keep doing that busy stuff of all the stuff that I think doesn't matter, but they do, is going to get them where they want to go. And it's just not. Unless you're talking to people you've never talked to before, asking them what you can do to help them and get them in a database that you're using and utilizing in some way, you're just never going to get where you want to be.
That's all really great advice, and I really appreciate you joining us today, Ricky. How can people reach you again? Just let them know how they can reach out to you and learn more.
I think the best way is at zero2diamond.com. Just go there and sign up for the thing. You'll start getting my emails. You can always go to Instagram at Ricky Carruth and DM me. Follow me on YouTube at Ricky Carruth. Also, the Zero to Diamond Facebook group There's 10,000 agents in there that are networking. They're posting their call results. They're getting referrals. It's just the insanity in there is just amazing. So, there's a bunch of different ways right there. And my email is ricky@zerododiamond.com if anybody wants to just email me directly.
Well, fantastic. Thank you again for joining us. And also you can reach us at prospectingtoday.com. Have a great day. Thanks again, Ricky.
Yeah, absolutely.